Central High School. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm Mrs. Jones, your mental health practitioner. I hope you and your family are staying safe and healthy at home. Today's mental health check-in is about boundaries, and I wanted to talk with you about those. If you're not familiar with the term boundaries, don't worry, this segment is for you. So, boundaries are described as the way we engage with and respond to others that gives people sort of a roadmap or a blueprint on how we want to be treated. And so we always want to be trying to practice having healthy boundaries. And the way that we engage with other people gives them the information back on how we want to be treated. So we can start with exploring different ways to practice healthy boundaries, okay? So we can start with physical boundaries. So right now during this time of quarantine, we are all up in each other's space, right? Because there's limited traveling, limited moving about, and so we have been around each other a lot more. But even in that situation, we can practice having healthy physical boundaries. Healthy physical boundaries ask for permission for touching. Something as simple as a shoulder touch or a hug. We always want to be asking, is it okay if I do that? Is it okay if I hug you? Is it okay if I touch you? Is it okay if I sit next to you? And so, although we've been asked outside of our homes to practice safe social distancing, which is, believe it or not, a very healthy physical boundary because we are giving space. And we're, imagine that, when people talk about you're all up in my bubble, so you're imagining that bubble not being violated. So, anytime that you want to engage with someone physically, it's a good practice to ask them, do you want to receive this first? And then that way, that person also knows that for you, they're going to ask your permission for the same ways to engage with you physically. And that is a healthy physical boundary. Another way to practice healthy boundaries is having healthy mental boundaries, right? And so we are inundated right now with our phones, with news updates, with people talking about COVID-19 and the numbers, with our governor every day giving updates about COVID-19. So there's all kinds of information that is coming toward us about, for seniors, you guys have questions about graduation requirements, backpack defenses. There's all kinds of information coming in at one time, and that can be very overwhelming. And so it's okay to say, you know what, I'm going to practice safe and healthy mental boundaries by saying, today or this hour or for this few minutes, I don't want to talk about anything that's heavy. I just want to do something that makes me feel relaxed and makes me sort of be able to cope with all that's going on. And so it's okay to listen to music, listen to a podcast, go outside and take a walk, but giving yourself permission to have that mental break away from all the things that may feel overwhelming at times. Um, another healthy way to practice Another way to practice safe and healthy boundaries are by exhibiting healthy emotional boundaries. And so, emotional boundaries are those boundaries that, even though it's okay for us to have, empathy for other folks, and empathy, different than sympathy. Sympathy is feeling sorry for someone, empathy is saying, I bet that feels hard. I bet knowing, relating to how they feel. So, saying, I bet that probably was hard. I bet that does make you feel sad, or that probably does make you feel angry. So being able to empathize with someone without feeling ultimately responsible for their happiness. So I see this in partner relationships lots of times, in romantic relationships where one partner feels emotionally responsible to make the other partner happy. Well, that's not a healthy boundary. Healthy boundaries say, I do want you to be happy. I do want you to be content. But I also know that it's not up to me to make you happy. I can do things to enhance your happiness, but primarily it's up to us to find ways to fulfill our own happiness and find ways to make ourselves feel happy and content and fulfilled. So practicing those emotional boundaries by saying to your partner or to your sibling or to a friend, I want you to be happy, but I know at the end of the day, it's not up to me for you to be happy. And finally, we're going to talk about another boundary, which is a time boundary. We have lots of time on our hands right now. Things don't feel as rigid and tight to get things done and make deadlines. We have a little more flexibility. But even with that time boundary, you want to make sure that other people respect our time. And so if we have a scheduled Zoom meeting with our teacher, or if we have some obligations at our home that maybe your parents or your guardians expecting you to do, having that time boundary, respecting that person's time even though it may not fit your schedule. Respecting their time hopefully will set the tone for them to also respect your time to say, I do want to do this, but this is the time that works best for me. And so it's okay to make a boundary. Even when we're engaging with adults, we can tell, young people can let adults know this is the time that works best for me. Does that work for your schedule? So it's always good to be able to have a healthy boundary around time so that we can negotiate what time best fits our time frame so that we can show up as our best selves. So then I came across an acronym about using the word boundary that I wanted to share with you that kind of will give some tips on ways to remember to practice healthy boundaries. And so, B, the B in boundaries could be just be yourself. Show up as the best authentic version of yourself. And if you're the best authentic version of yourself, then people can get to know you on those terms. And so keeping in mind that, we want to treat the golden rule is not, to me, not treat others like you want to be treated, but to treat others as they want to be treated. So be yourself. So people will know how to best engage with you. The O in boundaries is for only say yes when you mean it. Sometimes we are just quick to say yes and then we feel resentful because we've overcommitted ourselves. And so make your yeses and your no's, and own those, and be okay with saying yes when you're ready to accept the responsibility that comes with the yes. You understand that not everyone's going to be pleased when you assert boundaries, because boundaries is sort of putting like a fence around yourself, or that bubble. And sometimes folks are used to engaging with you in a certain way, so when you start asserting those healthy boundaries, people may respond to you a little differently because they haven't been used to that behavior. So anticipate that. D, do not adjust your needs to please others, right? And so the idea of boundaries is I'm showing you how to treat me, and I don't have any problem with treating you how you want to be treated. And so it's a lot of modeling that happens with that. And so when we assert those healthy, mental, emotional, time, and physical boundaries, we hope that others will respond in kind with treating us that way. A in the boundaries is ask for what you need. It's okay we all need help. And during this time of this unprecedented, quarantine, the stay home orders, and NTI, none of us have all the answers. So it's okay to ask for additional help during this time because we are out of our normal routine. And so ask for what you need. It's okay. The I is for invest in your own needs. And so during this time, as you're learning more about yourself, hopefully some of the solitude and time away has taught us some of the things that we might need for ourselves. And so it's okay to invest in your own needs and finding ways as we create those healthy boundaries, maybe reading, maybe listening to a new podcast, learning a new skill, maybe going out and doing some physical exercise. Like last time I talked about the hula hoop challenge. Finding ways to invest in yourself is very important as you're creating these healthy boundaries. The E is for expect some pushback, right? We talked about folks not being used to you asserting this new way of being, which may feel like you're acting all brand new, but let them know it's okay because I want you to have healthy boundaries as well. So it's okay to expect. So expect and act. As a matter of fact, you're going to anticipate some pushback. It's going to happen. And finally, the S in boundaries is for to be able to say no without apology. So sorry, so sort of that sorry, not sorry. So when you're saying no, you're meaning no, and you don't have to be sorry for it. And so I hope this mental health break on boundaries was helpful for you. There's so much information out there that you can continue to learn more about boundaries. So hopefully you are practicing good boundaries and taking care of yourself and others. May remember, wash your hands, be kind to each other, be kind to yourself. And please know that we miss you dearly. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.